There's a quiet addiction that haunts even the most disciplined minds. An addiction not to substances, but to stimulation. It's subtle. It wears the mask of success, ambition, connection. But underneath, it's a desperate need to feel something, anything, just to escape the silence of the self. Carl Jung warned us, when life loses meaning, we seek pleasure, not joy, not fulfillment, just stimulation. And the more disconnected we feel from our inner truth, the more we chase external noise to drown out the emptiness. Look around. How often do we check our phones? Not because we're expecting something important, but because we can't stand stillness. How often do we scroll, swipe, binge, or chase another goal? Not because it nourishes us, but because it numbs us. And here's the trap. The modern world rewards this behavior. Hustle is praised. Being booked and busy is glorified. Constant stimulation is mistaken for aliveness. But Jung saw through it. He knew that the obsession with pleasure isn't a celebration of life. It's a denial of pain, a refusal to sit with discomfort, a symptom of spiritual starvation. Because when a society is spiritually empty, it teaches us that feeling good is more important than being good. That what matters isn't truth, but the dopamine it produces. And so we become addicts, not to any one thing, but to the feeling of escape itself. We build lives that are full of activity, but devoid of depth. We achieve, we acquire, we entertain ourselves to death, yet deep inside, we remain restless. Jung called this the loss of soul, a condition where the ego dominates and the true self is buried beneath layers of performance. We stop asking who we are. Instead, we ask, what will make me feel better right now? But here's the paradox. The more we chase stimulation, the duller we become. Pleasure loses its flavor. Achievements feel hollow. And no matter how much we consume, we're never full. Because what we're really hungry for isn't pleasure. It's presence. We long to be seen, not by others, but by ourselves. We want to feel alive, not in the rush of the moment, but in the stillness of being. Jung believed that true healing begins not with more pleasure, but with more honesty, with the courage to stop running, to sit with our boredom, to meet our pain without flinching, because only then do we begin to remember what it means to be whole. So let me ask you, when was the last time you sat in silence without reaching for a screen, a snack, or a scroll? What would happen if you stopped chasing stimulation and started listening to what your soul is actually asking for? Why do we find it so hard to sit still with ourselves? The truth is, most of us aren't running toward pleasure. We're running away from pain. And Jung understood this better than most. He knew that the more we suppress what hurts, the more compulsively we chase what distracts. Think about it. How often do we eat not out of hunger, but out of stress? How often do we scroll not for curiosity, but to avoid our thoughts? The gym, the mirror, the next purchase, the next trip. It's not always about joy. Sometimes it's just about avoidance. But here's the paradox. The more we avoid our pain, the louder it becomes. We may keep our schedules full, our headphones in, our emotions buried, but our bodies remember. Our souls remember. And one day, in the silence between tasks or in the middle of the night, it all rushes back. Jung described this as the shadow, the parts of ourselves we exile because they're inconvenient, uncomfortable, or socially unacceptable. But what we reject doesn't disappear. It hides, and it waits, until we're too exhausted to run and finally have to face what's been living in our basement. And that's where true healing begins. Because once we stop distracting ourselves, we can begin to integrate, not to fix ourselves, but to see ourselves more clearly. That's the danger of pleasure. It can become a mask for despair. It can keep us busy, entertained, and even admired, while our inner life collapses in silence. Modern culture tells us, feel good, look good, keep going. But Jung invites us to pause and ask, what part of me am I avoiding? Maybe it's the fear of being alone. Maybe it's unresolved grief. Maybe it's the shame of a decision you never forgave yourself for. Whatever it is, it's not the enemy. It's the doorway. Because here's the truth. Real peace doesn't come from more pleasure. It comes from wholeness. And wholeness requires honesty. To say, yes, I'm afraid, or yes, I've been pretending. That's not weakness. That's the beginning of strength. We all carry a shadow. But the more we deny it, the more it controls us. The more we acknowledge it, the more human we become. So here's a simple practice. The next time you reach for your phone out of boredom, ask yourself, what feeling am I trying to avoid? And instead of pushing it away, just notice it, name it, feel it. It's not about fixing it. It's about becoming aware. Because awareness is what transforms distraction into insight. And distraction, once named, loses its power. Why do we keep chasing what doesn't satisfy us? We live in a world that offers a million ways to feel good, but so few ways to feel whole. From sugar to screens, from praise to pills, we've built an empire of substitutes. But Carl Jung warned us, what we substitute for meaning will eventually become a burden. This is not just a philosophical idea, it's a psychological reality. When we trade meaning for stimulation, depth for distraction, we start to feel hollow. We are smiling more, posting more, consuming more, but sleeping worse, feeling less, and wondering why nothing fills us. That's because stimulation isn't nourishment. It's bait. It lures you in with the promise of escape, but leaves you emptier than before. We are taught to fill our emptiness with things. But Jung believed that the void inside us isn't a mistake. It's a signal. It doesn't mean something is wrong. It means something real is missing. And if we don't listen to that signal, we risk falling into a psychological addiction. The compulsive need to feel good, without ever asking whether what we're doing is good for us. Take relationships, for example. Many of us chase affection, not because we're in love, but because we're afraid of being alone. We confuse attention with connection, comfort with intimacy, and chemistry with compatibility. And the more we pursue these shallow substitutes, the more anxious we become. Or consider achievement. We often pursue success not out of passion, but out of fear. Fear of being seen as unworthy, fear of being left behind. So we build resumes instead of legacies. We chase milestones instead of meaning. And the applause never really reaches our soul. Jung believed that much of modern suffering comes not from failure, but from false success. You appear to be winning, but feel like you're dying inside. That's because you're not pursuing your authentic self. You're playing a role that society promised would make you happy, but never truly fit. And the worst part? The more successful you become at the wrong thing, the harder it is to leave. You get locked into a performance. You start telling yourself, I've come too far to turn back now. But deep down, you know, every day you keep pretending, the cost gets higher. The regret gets louder. So what's the way out? It starts with truth. Ask yourself, what part of my life looks good, but feels wrong? It could be a job that impresses others, but drains your soul. A relationship that's stable, but lifeless. A lifestyle that's glamorous, but empty. Don't be afraid to admit it. Honesty doesn't destroy you. Denial does. The moment you name the lie, you reclaim your power. Because here's the truth Jung wanted us to face. Pleasure is not the enemy, but it becomes a prison when we use it to escape ourselves. You are not meant to feel good all the time. You are meant to feel true. And sometimes truth is uncomfortable. Sometimes it breaks the illusion you've built. But only in that breaking can something real emerge. Real peace is not comfort. It's congruence. It's when your outer life matches your inner values, when your relationships reflect your real needs, when your work expresses your true purpose, when your joy is rooted in meaning, not just dopamine. That's the life Jung believed we are called to live. But it takes courage. It takes stepping away from the noise, from the likes, from the validation, and listening to the quiet voice inside that says, there's something more. Not more to do, but more to be. So here's your invitation. Don't just chase what feels good. Chase what feels real. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that will still matter when the lights go out and the noise fades. There's a strange truth about life that Jung understood deeply, one that most modern advice misses entirely. You don't get what you chase. You get what you are ready to receive. Not when you're begging, not when you're forcing, but when you're finally still enough to align. This is the paradox that breaks so many people. The harder you try to grasp something, love, success, happiness, the more it slips away. Not because the universe is cruel, but because your neediness creates resistance. Your obsession sends a message. I am incomplete without this. And so the very thing you want keeps its distance, mirroring back your belief in lack. Carl Jung would tell you this isn't punishment. It's psychological law. The unconscious doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are being. That's why desperation rarely leads to fulfillment. It leads to loops, where you chase what you think will fix you, only to end up feeling even more broken. So, how do you break the loop? By surrendering, not to defeat, but to truth. You admit what you feel without letting it control you. You stop grasping at outcomes and start cultivating inner readiness. It's not that you give up, it's that you give over to the process of becoming the person who can hold what you seek. Take love, for example. We often chase connection out of loneliness. But if that loneliness is rooted in unworthiness, it will sabotage the very love you find. You'll question their affection. You'll test their loyalty. You'll push them away just to confirm your fear. See, they left too. It's not love that's missing. It's safety inside yourself. So, the work isn't to chase someone. The work is to become someone who doesn't abandon themselves. Jung taught that projection is the psyche's way of offloading inner work. We see others as the source of our pain, our joy, our salvation. But every projection is a mirror, inviting us to reclaim what we've disowned. The more we integrate our shadow, the fear, the shame, the rage, the less we need others to carry our unmet needs, and the more we show up in truth, not performance. This is where real attraction happens, not from manipulation, but resonance, not from game playing, but presence. The same is true for purpose. You don't find your calling by forcing clarity. You find it by listening, by noticing what makes your soul expand, by following the thread of your quiet curiosities until they form a path. But that requires stillness. And in today's world, stillness is radical. We're addicted to movement, to fixing, to improving. But what if your next breakthrough doesn't come from doing more, but from being more present, being more honest, being more you? You won't heal your life by chasing better versions of yourself. You heal it by making peace with who you already are. That's what opens the door. That's when things begin to shift, not because you forced them, but because you stopped standing in your own way. Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming whole, is not about perfection, it's about integration. It's when the child, the critic, the dreamer, and the realist inside you all have a seat at the table. When you no longer exile your shame, but invite it into awareness. When you stop trying to be impressive and start being real. Because that's the only space love can truly land in. That's the only place success can be sustainable. That's the only foundation joy can grow from. So what does it look like to live this way? It looks like letting go, not of your dreams, but of your desperation. It looks like pausing when fear says run and saying, no, I'm going to stay with this feeling until it softens. It looks like waking up each day not asking, how do I get more? But, how can I be more honest today? It's simple, not easy, but life-changing. When you stop needing everything to arrive right now, you start noticing what's already here. The friendships that nourish you, the quiet moments that ground you, the signs that you're already becoming who you were meant to be. You stop treating life like a transaction and start experiencing it as a conversation. And when you do that, you find the answer that so many people spend decades missing. You'll get it the moment you stop needing it to complete you. Because nothing outside of you ever could. Real peace is not something you chase. It's something you remember when all the noise fades and you return to your center. That's when the universe meets you. Not when you beg, but when you belong, and you always have.